Yo, what's good? Welcome into another episode of the PATS Podcast. I'm your host, Beej, Beej.com, Beethoven, whatever you want to call me. Thank y'all for tuning in. I know I've been away for a little while. Um, been about 2 weeks, right? Yeah. So my son's birthday, so I was celebrating that, and then I caught COVID in 2025. Crazy, right? And it actually took me out this time. I caught COVID back in like 2021 the first time, and I had no symptoms, but this time it took me out. It was like I had the flu, I had everything but a fever. So I had to get over that. Still, my sinus is still a little messed up. I still don't have my voice all the way back, but I know it's been a long time. So I figured I'd get on here and give you guys another episode. So thank y'all for being patient. Thank y'all for tuning in. Let's get right into it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of those things. Let's drop some happy birthdays, Aidens, in the comments. But let's get into it. So before, the last time we talked, it was pre-Super Bowl, right? The lead up to the Super Bowl. And we talked a lot about Chiefs versus Patriots, Brady versus Mahomes. What would it mean if they three-peat? All of those things. Now, if you guys are true fans and y'all been tuning in, I've been saying for probably months now that I thought the Eagles were going to win the Super Bowl. I thought that they were the best team. So my prediction ended up being correct. They actually beat the Chiefs' ass. So nobody's happier to see that than me. A couple reasons. I didn't want Patrick Mahomes or the Chiefs to kind of impede on the Patriots dynasty selfishly. I like to enjoy greatness, and I'm not hating on what they were doing as a team, but I didn't want there to be any kind of revisionist history when it came to the Patriots as far as their dynasty, how great Tom Brady is. I didn't want, I let everybody have their time talking about that stuff, but I believe this Super Bowl, quieted those things down a notch, and everybody realized just how special the New England dynasty was. While what the Chiefs are doing is also still special, there's still a very, you know, stark difference between the two. So I'm glad the Eagles won, selfishly for that reason. And two, Jalen Hurts. I'm a Jalen Hurts fan, man. Shout out to Houston, Texas. I'm glad to see him get one. He's gone through a lot of kind of football adversity, and he wasn't supposed to be there. And I'm glad that they were able to build that team and kind of plug him in and some other key pieces, and come out on top as champions. So shout out to Jalen Hurts, shout out to Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown. Shout out to the Eagles, man. All my Eagles fans and my friends that are Eagles fans, congratulations to y'all. Y'all deserve that. Y'all the best team all year, and you know y'all put belt to ass. Simple as that. It was a old fashioned ass kicking. So shout out to the Eagles. Let's dive a little bit more into the Brady and Mahomes comparisons, right? Last episode, I said I didn't think it was close. Even if Mahomes would have won this and would have gotten the three-peat simply moved him into the conversation for me. Because even if he got this fourth one, 7 is still more than 4, no matter how you want to spin it, right? And that's not to say he couldn't win 7, but he hasn't. So we can't be, prematurely throning him, the GOAT, when the actual GOAT has 7 rings. You know what I'm saying? Tom Brady had like 3 different Hall of Fame careers if you were to break it down. So I'm glad that, that conversation has kind of settled down a little bit. And, people are starting to remember just how special Brady was and just how special um, the Patriots dynasty was. Another, funny aspect about the Super Bowl was that nobody thought the game was over until the game was over. And there's only one reason for that. The Patriots. 28-3 against the Falcons at the end of the third quarter. That makes, that has everybody brainwashed to think that these ridiculous comebacks are possible in the Super Bowl because the Patriots and Tom Brady did it. And that just goes to show just how special the Patriots and Tom Brady really are. Because even me, I'm seeing the scores like 24-0 at half. They have Mahomes and the Chiefs haven't been able to do anything, but everybody's still kind of like, what if they do it? The Patriots did it. Who's to say the Chiefs can't do it? And that just continues to show just how special the Patriots dynasty really was and just why Tom Brady is the GOAT, because he makes us think that anybody, maybe not say anybody, but he has us believing that great quarterbacks can have those amazing comebacks. And it's possible, but it's not likely, especially in the Super Bowl, especially when the Eagles were as dominant as they were. So it wasn't a very enjoyable game. Um, the commercials weren't really all that great. I didn't even, and I don't necessarily want to speak about Kanye, but I didn't even see his commercial. I don't know where they aired that at, but the commercials weren't that great. The game was obviously boring because it was a blowout, but it happened. And the Eagles are, now the defending 2025 Super Bowl champions. So it'll be interesting to see what direction both teams go. The Chiefs are going to lose some people. I think Travis Kelce is going to retire for sure. I think it's inevitable. The Eagles are going to lose a lot of people, especially on that defense. All the teams are going to see how that defense performed, and they're going to overpay a lot of those players, especially along that defensive line, including the Patriots, who I think are probably going to go after one or two of those guys that's on the defensive line. Josh Sweat, specifically. So that's just a couple of takeaways from the Super Bowl. Just revisiting some of the things that we talked about as far as the Patriots versus the Chiefs and Mahomes versus Brady. I'm glad that those talks have settled down, man. I have bias, but you guys just got to realize it's not even close yet. It's not close. And that's not to say Mahomes won't get there, but as of right now, it's not close. Um, let's move in, kind of going into the future, right? Everybody's kind of saying, well, the Eagles team was built to destroy the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, obviously. Can they now become the next dynasty? And it's all about, what have you done for me now? What have you done for me lately? So everybody's gonna overreact to everything. Or the Eagles demolished the Chiefs. Therefore, everybody's gonna look and say, okay, well, are they the next dynasty? Can they do this next year? Can they do it the year after that? Because they still have their main key players under contract. And, they got all this talent all over the place. They got a lot of young talent, a lot of other older talent, but are locked up on contracts. So are they going to be the next dynasty? It's possible. You know, I have no reason to say that they can't be, but we won't know. A lot of things are going to change in the offseason. So we should just stick to, what is now. And right now, the Eagles are the Super Bowl champions. So let's just leave it at that. We can talk about dynasties down the road. If they make it to another Super Bowl and win, that's when we need to start talking about dynasties. I think this all ties back into the Patriots. Everybody wants to dethrone the Patriots dynasty as the greatest football dynasty to ever exist, right? So every new shiny toy that comes out, everybody's trying to quickly dethrone because they have Patriots fatigue, even though the Patriots are bad right now. They want to talk about somebody else as the greatest team of all time because, people didn't like Brady. People didn't like the Patriots. They thought we were cheaters, all these kind of things. So they it's kind of like LeBron. Like everybody, people wanted to proclaim Kawhi Leonard as the best player. They wanted to proclaim Paul George, Giannis, Steph Curry. But when it was all said and done, LeBron continues to be the best player in the NBA. It's the same with the Patriots. Everybody keeps trying to find that next new GOAT or that next new dynasty. And the fact remains the same that the Patriots are the greatest dynasty in football history, and Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback in football history. And that's the way it's going to stay until another team comes along and wins 6 Super Bowls in a 20-year span or whatever the case may be. And I mean, it's a little unfair to some of the other dynasties like the Cowboys dynasty, Steelers, those teams, 49ers, those teams that have 5, 6 Super Bowls wins in their history are just getting lapped by the Chiefs because it's the hot new thing that could potentially dethrone the GOAT team and the GOAT quarterback. So let me get off of my soapbox when it comes to that. I'm just a passionate Patriots fan. And, I don't want to see my team fade off into history. I want to remain the greatest dynasty, and I want Tom Brady to remain the greatest football player, to the day I die. So get off my soapbox. Let's talk about the halftime show. Kendrick Lamar. A lot of mixed reviews on the halftime show. A lot of people said it was boring. A lot of people talked about the message that it portrayed. A lot of people really loved it. A lot of people didn't know the music. There's a lot of, mixed things to go with this halftime show, but I can only give you guys my perspective. My perspective, I'm a pretty big Kendrick Lamar fan. I've been listening. I've always said, or I've told my friends, like, I don't care what Kendrick does ever again. I heard Rigor Mortis. I heard Cartoons and Cereal. I heard these like thought provoking, game changing songs that made me be like, how is somebody able to rap like this? So Kendrick never had to do another thing for me to have him up, in the top tier of artists and rappers because I heard those songs. I heard the album Section 80. I heard Good Kid, Mad City. I heard these things I was always like, man, this guy's crazy. How is he doing this? But back to the halftime show, I thought it was great. I had a little bit of issue with the sound. I felt like it's hard to hear him, but I mean, it'd be like that when the mic is on and he's exhibiting great breath control and remembering all of his lyrics, even editing them on the spot so that he's not cussing or saying N word, none of that stuff. He's doing all that live, and that's impressive in itself. So outside of the volume being a little bit low, I thought that the performance was great. Samuel Jackson coming out being Uncle Sam, it's a play on that. His name is obviously Samuel Jackson, Uncle Sam. It's also could be a play to who his character was in Django. There's a lot of things that go there. Having the background dancers having red, white, and blue on, that's portraying the American flag, but also Bloods and Crips and people who are not involved in gangs. He tied a lot of things together that probably shouldn't, be tied together. He tied a lot of those things together. The Great American Game, saying and Samuel Jackson narrating how to play the game, deducting points for being too black, all those kind of things. Like I thought it was an amazing show. I know a lot of people's beef was that he only performed GNX songs, except for I think DNA and All the Stars. But I watched his Apple Music interview, and he said, like, I like to perform my new stuff. I don't like to, live in the past. I like to give y'all my new projects. So I anticipated that that's what he was going to do. He was going to perform the GNX songs. So I didn't have a problem with it. And I listened to the album, so I knew the songs. I think a lot of people who didn't like it didn't listen to GNX and they didn't know the songs. So all in all, it wasn't the best Super Bowl performance we'll ever seen. And I don't think it was the worst either. It was a good performance. The obvious elephant in the room is the Drake diss aspect of it all. It was in there. I don't think it was the main thing of, of the performance. A lot of people are saying like, oh, he had an A minor chain on. Maybe, but I know that his label PG Lang, that's what the A looks like in that. And I thought that it was PG Lang chain. But it could also, again, back to him tying things together, it could be the A and PG Lang, and it could, be symbolic of A minor. So a lot of things he tied into, but I don't think it was the whole show. I mean, everybody was waiting to hear Not Like Us, so I like that he, made it dramatic. He was teasing it here and there and saying things like, they like to sue and all that kind of stuff before inevitably getting into the song, performing it. Um, he obviously didn't say pedophile on the Super Bowl stage. I know that came, from the powers that be. Um, I don't think he said A minor either, but the entire crowd said A minor, and I'm pretty sure everybody at home that was watching and dancing to it said A minor. Pardon me. So it was great. And I like that he didn't end on it. He still, after that, he did TV off and brought Mustard out, had Serena crip walking. You know, it was a good performance, man. If you like Kendrick, if you like rap music, if you like black stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like if you like all things hip hop culture, West Coast culture, if you like that stuff, man, it was a good performance. If you don't like that stuff, then you probably, you're not gonna like it. You're gonna hate on it. Or if you're a super Drake fan, you're not gonna like it. You're gonna hate on it, no matter if you felt like it was good or not. And that's just the reality of it. So that's all I got for the halftime show. Let's get into some actual Patriots content. I kind of been running my mouth a little bit. I ain't got no notes today. I'm really just freestyling, kicking it with y'all. So let's get into some actual Patriot stuff. We're almost to the legitimate offseason, the combine, the draft, free agency, all of those things start probably within, the next month. Once we get into March, that's when all that stuff really kicks off. So I talked a lot about, some of the free agents that I want. That list kind of remains the same, especially after the Super Bowl. I'm still really into seeing if the Patriots can sign Josh Sweat from the Eagles because we need another pass rusher. They have a D tackle too that I would be interested in. Last name Williams. I can't think of his first name right now, but Josh Sweat, throw him a bag. Let him come in there and be, a situational pass rusher that's better than like a Josh Uche, right? I think that would be good. Looking at some other free agents like Cooper Kupp, I'm all in on Cooper Kupp. I think he would come in and immediately be our best receiver. So if we could partner Cooper Cup with maybe like a T Higgins or draft Ted McMillan, and Cooper Cup slides kind of into that second or third receiver, that is now a great receiving core, right? So if we go out there with T Higgins, Kendrick Bourne, Cooper Cup, and Demario Douglas, that is a, you know, that is a maybe a B minus receiving core, and I can't be mad at that. A lot of what I've been seeing, especially after the Super Bowl, though, is that the Patriots' plan is to shore up the trenches. And that's fine on both sides, offensive line and defensive line. From the inception, I've been saying, I don't care if you feel like it's too rich for the number 4 pick, draft offensive lineman. That's what I think we should have been doing this whole time, whether it's Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks. Draft an offensive lineman at 4 and keep it going. So I think throughout this draft, they're probably going to end up drafting, I mean, probably 4 or 5 offensive linemen if I'm being honest. And I think that that's what they need to do. Shore up the trenches, excuse me, so that Drake May is protected, and then on the defensive side, we can get to the quarterback. Last year, we barely had any sacks, and like 9 of our sacks came from one game against Chicago when we were all over Caleb Williams. Our pass rush is not representative of the pass rushes that we've had in the past under Belichick. And I don't know if that was Mayo or DeMarcus Covington, whoever's fault it may be, or the talent on the team. The pass rush was non-existent. So let's bring in some pass rushers. Hopefully we get Christian Barmore back and bring in a guy like Josh Sweat, like I said, and you now have a representative pass rush. So you could kind of easily fix the trenches with 2 or 3 key pieces on each side. You shore up the tackles on the offensive side. You get a pass rusher and interior lineman on the defensive side, and you've now kind of fixed the trenches. And now you can work from the inside out. Now you can get tight ends, receivers, this, that, and the third, right? So that's what I've been seeing a lot of local Patriots media saying, that Vrabel wants to shore up the trenches. But I've also seen that they're going to be in on T Higgins and some of the top free agents. Throw the bag at T Higgins, man. I don't care what it is. 30 million, 33 million, 35, for not 40, but throw the bag. We got all this money. Throw the bag at T Higgins, man. What do you got to lose? I mean, he's bona fide number 1. If you say he's a number 2 when he gets to New England, he's going to be the number 1. He's going to be eons better than anything we've had in years. Throw the bag at him. We got all this money, all this cap space. Throw the bag at the top free agent, and then get some middling free agents to make the team incrementally better in the short term. Like quickly. You get T Higgins, you have quickly made the offense 10 times better than it has been since maybe 2018, right? So that's kind of my short thoughts on the Patriots offseason. Once once we get more into the combine and free agency and they start actually making moves, I have a lot more things to talk about. It's kind of quiet right now. Um, but yeah, my free agents listing of people who I would like to see on the team has kind of stayed the same. I don't think we should trade the number 4 pick for Myles Garrett. If you want to trade the number 4 pick for Myles Garrett, I would just say get like Mason Graham at that pick or something and just have somebody that's cheaper and younger. But I'm not a fan of drafting a defensive tackle as your first overall pick. So I'm team Abdul Carter or Will Campbell or Ted McMillan. It's the only 3 people I want to see. I'll throw Kelvin Banks Jr. in there as well. I'm biased to University of Texas. So if we get Kelvin Banks Jr. at 4, I'm not going to be mad either. But those are the only 4 people that I'm taking the card and I'm running it up to Goodell and saying, this is our pick in the 2025 NFL draft, right? Matter of fact, I just, was playing around with a little bit of mock draft. So I'll pull up my mock draft here and kind of see what I did. And I'll admit it's a little University of Texas biased, but that's okay. So let's take a look at what I got here. So with the first overall pick, or I traded out of the number 4 down to the 10th pick and drafted Kelvin Banks Jr., the tackle out of Texas, right? That was my first pick. Then at 41, I traded out of our second round pick down to 41 and got JT Tuimalaya out of Ohio State, the edge rusher out of Ohio State that had a pretty huge impact over the course of the college football playoffs. Then at 47, I drafted Isaiah Bond, receiver out of Texas. Told y'all it's a little Texas bias. We already got two in the top 100. At 68, I got Cam Scatterbu. I liked what I saw from him in that game against Texas. And I don't think we necessarily need a running back, but at 68, I'll take him. And with this Josh McDaniels offense running a two back kind of system, if Ramondre is having fumbling issues, then you can put Cam Scatterbu in there as your between the tackles runner, put him at fullback, two back split, a lot of those things. I think that he would be an awesome addition to the team, especially to that running back room now that Josh McDaniels is the new offensive coordinator. So after that, at 77, I got Gunnar Helm, tight end from Texas. So that's three Longhorns in the top 100. I think we need a tight end. Hunter Henry's amazing. I don't know if we're going to re-sign Austin Hooper, but we need a young tight end because those guys have been in the league for a while. They're not going to play forever. So why not get a young tight end? Gunnar Helm was amazing for Texas. He popped off the screen every time I watched. He scored a bunch. He was always a go-to target for Quinn Ewers. I think he would be an amazing addition to that tight end room. And finally, at 105, this is where I stopped at. I got Dalton Cooper, a tackle out of Oklahoma State. I kind of just shot with that pick. I don't know too much about Dalton Cooper. I'm probably going to do some research since I threw him in here, but a tackle at 105, it's not too bad. So I went tackle, edge. So again, back to shoring up the trenches. Receiver, skill position, running back, skill position, tight end, skill position, and then another tackle. And obviously, as the board would have progressed through, the rest of the lines, I would have probably added, some defensive tackles, another edge rusher, so on and so forth, right? So I think moving all the way up into the draft, I'm going to keep doing mock drafts and kind of try to change it up and, share my mock drafts with you guys on here moving forward. That's pretty much all I got for the Patriots offseason. It's not going to be a really long episode today, but I owed it to y'all to record and to give you guys some content. So I think right now we're gonna get into our music minute. Kind of a new little segment that I want to do since this is called the Pats Rap Podcast. We talk a little bit about music, and when it comes to music, let's start with the obvious: Kendrick and Drake beef, right? So back to the halftime show. He obviously did not like us. He said, when he said "Say Drake" and looked at the camera and smiled, all like grimacing and stuff. You know, he knew like this is the nail in the coffin, dude. Like I win. I got a Super Bowl performance off of dissing yo ass. I don't care what y'all think about it. I did that. So he put the nail in the coffin on Drake. At the end it said "game over" in the crowd. So I think that it should be over at this point, right? Like, I don't think we're going to hear anything else about Drake versus Kendrick. I think it's unanimously known that Kendrick won. And I think Kendrick's going to go back into his little, under a rock somewhere. And we're not going to hear back from him. Well, he's going on tour, but we're not going to hear like new music. He probably won't perform, not like us that much on the tour, I don't think. I think both parties are ready to move forward. I think Drake accepted his L. So game over, like Kendrick said. So but with that, Drake and Party Next Door just dropped a new collab album last night. And I got a chance to listen to it last night. I listened to it in the car this morning. Initially, I hated it. I was like, I don't like any song on here except for Deeper by Party Next Door. And I heard that. That was a snippet that came out when they first announced the album. And so I knew that was going to be, one of those ones because it's P. But other than that, as I was listening to it, I was like, I don't like this. I'm skipping songs before they're even over. And that might just be Drake hate. I'm not against saying that. It might just be Drake hate. And I don't hate Drake. I was on Kendrick's side in the beef because I liked his points. He was basically saying like, Drake, you're not from nowhere. You're not really of this culture. You don't have a sound, a culture that you can lean into. Whereas I do. I'm really from somewhere. I really be out there. I really, people out there love me. and I can make cultural music to win this battle. I can make Not Like Us, which sounds like the music of where I'm from, and win the battle because I actually am from there and I have that. And that's what I liked about Kendrick's angle in the beef, not the pedophile stuff, not the 12-year-old daughter stuff. I don't care about that. That's T, you know what I'm saying? Like like they say that's T, right? I don't care about that. I liked when he was talking about culture and really being from somewhere. That's what I appreciated about Kendrick's message in the beef. But um so like I said, it might be Drake hate initially, but I want to hear Party Next Door when it comes to this album. Party Next Door is probably my favorite singer of all time, if I'm being outside of Usher, who's the GOAT, but P's probably my favorite singer, especially currently. So I wanted to hear what he was going to bring with this project. So my favorite songs on this project are the songs that are primarily Party Next Door or only Party Next Door. I don't really like uh I think I like Raining in Houston. That's the, solo Drake song that I actually like. But as far as my first couple initial listens right now, the only songs I'm really kind of running on repeat are Deeper, Pimmy's Dilemma, Lasers, and Somebody Loves Me. Those are the songs that I'm really rocking with right now. I got them on repeat. They're going crazy in the car. Um, so yeah, some sexy songs for you, Party Next Door and Drake. If you haven't heard it, go check it out. Um, Another album that I've been listening to is the Life is Beautiful, Larry June with The Alchemist and 2 Chains, a collaboration I would have never seen coming when it came to Larry June and 2 Chains. But 2 Chains really was getting his rapping bag, like his cool, smooth, like introspective raps on there. So I like that. Um, Other than that, I know Dro Kenji. He just dropped last night his new album Love Kills. So I've listened to a couple songs in there. I like it. I like the kid Dro Kendrick. He kind of sounds like Juice World. Juice World's the guy. He kind of sounds like Juice World, but he makes great music. He had one album that kind of got me through a lot when I was kind of going through something, and I was listening to With or Without You and Anywhere But Here. Those are 2 albums by him that I used to listen to all the time. So Dro Kenji, Love Kills, check that out. It's really all I've been listening to outside of like my normal stuff that that's been out. But as far as new music, that's kind of what I'm on right now. So check those out. New P&D and Drake album, Larry June's album, and Dro Kenji's album. Check those out. And that's the Music Minute from the Pats Rap Podcast. So again, I want to thank y'all for your patience. Thank y'all for rocking with me. Pardon me. And I'm gonna be more consistent. I'm gonna start getting episodes out weekly now. Barring I don't get sick or work isn't too crazy. But thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Patch Rap Podcast. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. I'm your host, Beej, Beej.com, Babe Tovin, whatever you want to call me. And I'll see y'all next time.